Warning: the stories you are about to hear may contain sensitive topics such as physical, mental, or substance abuse, sexual content, violence, and gore. These stories are fiction and do not reflect any person or entity. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everyone. I'm Bruhdriguez, and welcome to the Moonlit Hour. In tonight's story, a couple of girlfriends hang out for some Halloween movie fun until their night is ruined by an evil clown. What will you do when you hear the chuckles? Spooky season was in full force as June and Rita settled in for a night of horror movie marathon. The drinks were poured and the popcorn was made. They sat on the couch and pressed play on the first movie. It was dark outside, with a storm rolling in. The wind was blowing hard as the branches on the trees held on tight. The rain started to drizzle down, the perfect weather for horror movies. As the movie concluded, the girls realized the rain started pouring down really hard and the thunder was getting louder. Excitement came over them as they headed to the kitchen to refill their drinks and gather more snacks. Rita headed to the kitchen sink to put the popcorn bowl away. As she set the bowl in the sink, she heard what sounded like a weird laugh coming from outside. She looked out of the window above the sink, but couldn't see much with the rain coming down hard. "Did you hear that?" Rita asked June. June was busy getting more wine coolers from the refrigerator. "Hear what?" June asked. "It sounded like a laugh coming from outside," Rita replied. "It sounded really weird," she said as she did a double take out the window. Still, nothing could be seen. "Maybe it's the Halloween decorations in my neighbor's yard," June said reassuringly. "They can get kinda creepy. They're away for the weekend." "Well, that was freaky," Rita responded with a hint of scared in her voice. The girls returned to the living room and got ready to start the next movie when this time, both of them could hear the laugh loud and clear. "Okay, that sounded closer than the neighbor's house," Rita said as she looked towards the living room window. The curtain blocked the view from the outside. "I'll check it out," June replied as she stood up from the couch. She made her way to the window and pulled the curtain slightly open. It was very dark and the rain made it very difficult to make out anything outside. Suddenly, a flash of lightning lit up the sky and she could see it standing just outside the window by the tree. A clown. It was hard to make out any features, but the clown had hair that hung down, which was the opposite of what you'd picture the type of hair a clown would have. His suit was black with red dots and stripes. The face paint was simple, yet his smile was very dark and demented. June jumped back, and Rita knew that something was out there. They battled back and forth on what to do. They decided to try and call the cops. They raced to their phones as the lights went out, sending the house into a pitch-black darkness. They weren't sure if it was the storm or the clown, but they knew it wasn't good. They made their way to the kitchen to try and grab weapons. June trailed behind Rita as she called the police. The dispatcher picked up the line, but before June could say anything, the clown grabbed her hand and took the phone. He smashed it on the ground under his black clown boot. The clown grabbed June by the throat and picked her up with one hand. He chuckled as he looked deep into her eyes with an evil smile. Rita grabbed a knife and turned. The clown noticed this and threw June at Rita before she could attack him. The girls fell to the ground and the clown rushed them, kicking them in their sides in a playful yet hurtful way. The girls cried in pain. The clown picked up the knife that landed not far from the girls. He reached down and grabbed June by the hand. He planted her hand against the bottom cabinet and stabbed the knife through both her hand and the cabinet door. She screamed in pain as blood poured down her arm and on the floor. The clown grabbed Rita by the hair and stood her up. He slapped her around the face in a jokingly manner. Rita cried while the clown did a horrifying evil laugh. She kicked back and hit his leg, which made him stop laughing and give her an angry look. The clown slammed Rita down on the counter. Her nose hit the countertop and began to bleed. He pulled her back up and turned her around. He slammed her back hard against the corner of the counter, and she fell slumped to the ground. The clown grabbed a rolling pin from the dish rack. He had a little dance with his evil laugh, and with one hard swing upward, he smashed the rolling pin into Rita's jaw. Her head dropped forward as her mouth began to gape, and her teeth fell to the floor. The blood dripped all over her chest. June was screaming for the clown to stop. The clown threw the rolling pin at June and struck her in the head. Her vision became blurry as she tried to maintain her composure. The clown gripped Rita by the jaw and lifted her up. He maintained his grip on the bottom of her jaw, and he used his other hand to grip the upper half. He ripped her jaw off with a hard pull. Rita's tongue flopped around as he held her head. June screamed as tears flowed down her face while the blood covered her arm down her shirt. The clown brought Rita's dead body closer to June. He held the jaw up to Rita's head as if completing with the missing piece. He began to give an evil laugh as he moved the jaw in a way to make it seem like it was Rita who was laughing. June tried to slap Rita away, but the clown didn't let up. He shoved Rita's tongue all over June's face. He then threw Rita across the floor and tossed the jaw at June. June threw the jaw away. She hadn't the courage to pull the knife out, but she knew this was do or die. She tried to pull the knife, but it pierced through the cabinet door all the way out the other end. The clown noticed this and grabbed her by the head. He gripped her and lifted her up, the knife cutting through her hand, leaving it partially cut off. June screamed in agony and tried to fight her way, but she was not strong enough to pull from the clown. He slammed her against the counter and pinned her down. He grabbed the cheese grater and began to run it across her mouth vigorously. The blood began to pool as pieces of her lips began to fly across the counter. The clown stopped and began to laugh in June's face. He pulled her down the counter enough to place her neck at the edge. She tried to beg and plead, but the clown just laughed. With one hard swing, he punched at her neck and it snapped. He repeatedly beat at her neck until it was just skin hanging there. Pieces of bone protruded through the skin. He lifted her up and her head bobbed around on skin. He began to do a playful dance with her body, laughing the whole time. When he was danced out, the clown threw June's body by Rita's and laughed as he drew something on the counter. He then exited the back door, leaving it wide open. Later, the police arrived after receiving a call that someone may have heard screams. The storm was coming down so hard it was hard to tell, but the police decided to do a wellness check. They found the bodies of the two girls with the smiley face drawn in blood on the counter.